Hello and welcome to Megawatt, the Tech Week in View. I'm Katie Scott and we're going to give you a rundown of the biggest stories of the week and what we thought of them. Stay tuned. First up, Google is trying to help the internet become a friendlier place. It is today putting into beta Google Friend Connect. So Google is already drawing criticism for not being as open with this service as, for example, MySpace or Facebook. So far this week, I've read a story on the BBC about how online fraudsters are now targeting VoIP accounts. And then obviously there was the MySpace lawsuit where the spammers got hit with a record fine for basically filling people's inboxes with emails about porn sites and gambling. Now, I do understand the concept of open, but I think that you really need to get a balance between open and safe, and I think that's what Google are doing. I would rather they started off from a point where they're actually vetting third-party developers for this service than not. So while I understand the criticism, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Last month, eBay filed a mysterious lawsuit against Craigslist, saying that the listings company had unfairly diluted its investment in it. No further details were given. But now the case has got even more curious, with Craigslist countersuing and accusing eBay of actually embedding spies in its board. As bizarre as this Craigslist and eBay wrangle is, I kind of understand why it's happening. First up, I can completely sympathise with the Craigslist executives for being slightly annoyed at eBay. After all, eBay was a major shareholder in the company, asked for lots of information, and then, ta-da, starts up Kijiji, which is basically a rival to Craigslist. But then, on the other hand, there's also just a simple clash of cultures. Everyone, all the interviews have said that Craigslist and its executive, very, very chilled out company. They were basically a startup. They did very, very well, made lots and lots of money, but weren't really expecting to. eBay, on the other side of things, is an e-commerce giant and wants to make as much money as possible. So it's not surprising that these two companies have now come to clash. But at the end of the day, the only people who are actually going to be happy when this legal wrangle gets nasty, which it will be the lawyers and also the journalists. In the biggest review of its business to date, DSGI Group will close 77 Currys digital stores, trial new retail formats, and is even rethinking product lines. On Monday, we had news of the £1 billion deal between the Carphone Warehouse and the American retail chain Best Buy. Yesterday, we had news that the DSGI Group, which is also a massive, massive retail chain, but in the UK, it owns Dixon's, Currys and PC World, are going to go through their biggest reorganisation in the history of the company. Now, obviously, the closure of 77 shops isn't ideal, but maybe just reflects the fact that a lot of people are buying electronics and even white goods online as opposed to going to the high street. But the key thing is the move into more consumer electronics, which is one of the things that Carphone Warehouse have said of their stores. They're going to move away from just phones and also bring in laptops and other accessories. So does this move by the DSGI Group reflect the fact that they're doing this just basically to make themselves more attractive to a potential buyer? And is that potential buyer Best Buy? He's the man putting pressure on Motorola to sell its ailing phone business, and now Carl Icahn has turned his unwanted attention on Yahoo. So Yahoo really is in problems. On one hand, you've got a board who are very, very emotionally involved in the company. For example, Jerry Yang, the CEO, is also co-founder, so you can understand why he's a little upset at the prospect of his company being swallowed by a megalith like Microsoft. On the other hand, you've now got Carl Icahn, who isn't a man to be trifled with. The guy has $13 billion. And he's made that money by being very canny. He's got a very, very unemotional approach to the whole thing, basically wants Microsoft and Yahoo to sit down to make the shareholders as much money as possible. But here's the question, is Microsoft actually going to want to sit down with the Yahoo board? Again, whatever Yahoo board that is, whether it's Icahn's team or the team that's in at the moment. After all, Microsoft's just put in a bid or is in discussions at the moment with Facebook. So how much money can one company actually have? That was our rundown of this week's hottest stories and our personal take on them. Join us again on Monday for the usual news show where we give you the latest news and views from the world of gadgets and technology. And in the meantime, why not check out our latest episode in which I went down to Grand Designs Live in central London to get a glimpse of the home of the future. Have a lovely weekend and we'll see you on Monday. Thanks for watching.